If you run a roofing business, you don't have time to waste money on marketing that's not going to work. You need real, high-quality leads, not just people who are thinking about a new roof while they are binge watching HGTV. That's where Google comes in. Unlike knocking on doors or giving out flyers or just relying on word of mouth, Google puts your business directly in front of people who are quite literally looking for a new roof. By the end of this video, you're going to have the exact knowledge that I have to not only set up, but also optimize and run your Google search campaign profitably for your roofing business with no guesswork, no wasted spend, and no fluff. All right, real quick, I'm gonna show you guys some proof. So just from October up until the last couple days ago, this is one of my medium ticket local home service business clients. Generated 61 calls for them in just this last little time frame here. It's gonna go through these. This is also another medium local home service business that I run ads for just in the summer times. So that's typically their biggest season. That's where they get most of their sales. So we really crank things up during that summertime. So I wanted to kind of show you this bigger time frame here. 50 conversions for 5K spend. So around $100 for these really qualified leads. The next client I have here, I also just do work for them in a smaller time frame in the summer. These guys are actually much higher ticket than most. Their average project size is well over 12K. Getting those leads for $74 each. And when I talk to the owner every year, when I spoke with them last year, I believe they generated $40,000 in new business just from this 1.4K spend. Looking forward to working with them here again soon, as it's April now of this year. One of my next clients, just showing you some overall spend, just in the last year, managed close to 50K for this client, generated $239,000 in conversion value. And then one of my larger clients in the last, looks like basically for the most part, Q4 of last year and then so far this year, managed close to $250,000 for these guys and then generated over $1 million at a 420% return on ad spend. So I just want to show you guys that I know what I'm talking about. I do this for tons of clients in all different industries, and I have several roofing clients that were probably in your exact shoes just a few months ago. So what I'm going to do here is I've gone to ads.google.com. So if you have not made a Google Ads account before, this is where you will go. At first, it's not going to look like this. It's going to have you sign in. Make sure that you sign in and create that Google Ad account with the email that you want to use. So typically, mine is john@eberhardmediamarketing.com, just my business email. Once you get through all the quick, basic questions about your business type, etc., just the basics that Google asks you, now you're going to see an overview that looks like this. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create our first search campaign. So there's 3 ways to do this. You can go here. You can even go into here and do it once you're in your campaigns, or you can go here. I'm just going to click here. We're going to go to campaigns. We are going to make a search campaign. So you might be thinking that we should be going for leads off the bat because that's what we're going for. But if you're in a brand new Google Ad account, Google doesn't have any data on who, on any demographics or audience targeting or interests or behaviors of people who are most likely to convert for you. So we're going to go ahead and click on website traffic first. Once we're starting to get at least 15 to 20 conversions a month, we will go ahead and switch this to leads. Once Google has enough data to efficiently bid correctly for these actual, people who are likely to convert. So we want to give Google that data first. Conversion. So typically you're going to be collecting lead forms or calls. Conversion tracking is a topic for another video. So I'm going to let you guys watch another video for this, or if you're working with an agency or a freelancer, have them set this up for you. But I would have lead submit forms and phone calls from websites and also call from the ads. We're going to go ahead and go to a search campaign. Don't worry about any of these other campaigns. We want to be targeting people who are just going on Google, looking up roof repair near me, roof replacement near me, roofing companies in, X city, etc. So right here, it's asking, okay, what is your website? I'm just going to be using this example of a company that I found here in Arizona. So we're just going to put them in there just for an example. American Roofing Now. I have no affiliation with them. This is just a random roofing company that I found. So I just want to show you. What I like to do here, these naming conventions for campaigns are totally up to you. You're the only one who's going to be seeing these, but especially if you have a lot of campaigns, or me, I have a lot of clients, I like to make these names super specific so I can audit and optimize a lot quicker and more efficiently. So I'm going to go web traffic. We're just going to be going for clicks. Let's say roofing repair. Let's just say roofing services as a whole. And I will put, let's just do Scottsdale, 40 miles. That's just going to be our location. I'll show you that in a minute. Then EMMA, this would be my company if I'm running someone's Google Ads for them. So obviously make this whatever you want. I'm just going to click continue. We are going to start new because I make these videos. So I have a lot of drafts in here because obviously I'm not going to run ads for this company for them. For bidding, again, remember, we're going to want to go to clicks. So once we have those conversions in there, we will make that adjustment to conversions. But for now, we have no data, we have no spend, we have no leads. So let's go ahead and click on clicks. Don't worry about this. Go ahead and click next. We're going to turn these off. So this is basically Google wanting to advertise on different search partners. They're partnered with thousands of just other random, non-Google websites. So we're just going to turn those off. They're really random. We want to stick to people looking on Google. Display network. This is if you've ever seen ads like on the top banner or on the sides of a website, but we're going to keep this off because if we want to do that, we would either do a video, a demand gen display, or a performance max campaign. So we just don't want Google spending more of our money. We want it specifically where we want it. For location targeting, go ahead and drop this down and make sure that you click on presence. We only want to be advertising to people who are in our locations, not people interested in traveling or booking a trip or whatever else. And then go to enter another location here. So this, of course, depends on your company and how far your guys' service area is or how far you want to travel, etc. So for this, I'm just going to put Scottsdale, Arizona. But as you can see, one thing I want to show you here, you notice how, let's say that your company was here, you might not want to be going all the way up to Cave Creek, right? So if you just type in Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever you're at, and the location is too big, what I would do is I would just remove this. Of course, if you already have a list of zip codes, neighborhoods, etc., then you can just put those in here as it says right here. But you can also do a radius too. If you have a shop, most roofers don't necessarily, they work out of a shop, not something like, like an auto repair shop or anything. But I would go here and go to show all areas and kind of zoom out and zoom in. You can use control or you can use right here to zoom in, zoom out. And then I would just choose specifically the areas that you guys service, right? So instead of just typing in, again, the Scottsdale as a whole and hitting all these, you can remove this again and then show all areas. And let's just say you guys just operate here, just kind of mess with this, include and exclude as you will. But that is kind of, that's kind of what I just zoomed out everything. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. So I will let you guys be the judge of that for your own business. But for this sake, I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. We want English. We don't want broad match keywords unless we want to choose those. So make sure this is off. Even though every time I see this, it's always off anyways, but that's because we are going for clicks, not conversions. So just be careful. If you're working with the Google ad account that already has data and conversions, and let's say you're watching this video because you want to rebuild everything yourself, then make sure that you have this as off because we will use broad match keywords when we want to, not when Google wants us to because they want to spend more of our money. So automatically create assets. That's a big no. We want to be in charge of all the ad copy and everything that we are making right here. So now we basically have all the settings set up for the actual campaign structure itself besides budget, which will be at the end. And now we're going into basically creating our first ad group and our first ad. So then by the end of this, our ads can actually run, right? So you're going to have multiple different ad groups. You can have as many ad groups as you want for the most part inside of a campaign. Your budget and your location targeting and your bidding strategy is all at a campaign level. And then these ad groups are attached to your keywords and your ads under these ad groups, right? So if we have certain ad groups, I recommend really splitting these up. So maybe having different ad groups for roof repair and roof replacement, for example. You wouldn't want people looking for just roof repair to be seeing your ads that are for full roof replacement. So make sure you have different services, different things split up. Again, this can be kind of an extra step, but I really am all for not being lazy with this. And I want to really separate those because I want to be, exactly what people are looking for. I want to show them exactly. So here's an example. I would not have tile roof, roof gutter, roof waterproofing, and roof repair all in the same ad group. So you wouldn't want these keywords in the same ad group here because if any one of these is triggered, your ads that you have under here will be shown, and that's gonna, include your headlines, descriptions. So you really want to make sure that you're being as specific as possible. So if you do all these services, I really break those down into ad groups, have ad copy specifically tailored to that, and honestly even have a specific landing page for that because you want to have as much congruency and give people the smoothest user experience that they can and give them, create the most likely to convert, have a high conversion rate. So all this stuff helps. So I'm just going to create one ad group for you guys, and then, it's going to be the same pretty much copy and paste system for just, your other keywords, your other headlines, etc. So let's just say we're just going to be doing residential roofing replacement. Let's just say full, right? So roofing replacement, so full roof, not repair, right? So these keywords right here are all broad match keywords because they don't have anything around the keyword, right? So right here, if you look down at the bottom, this says keyword broad match is just an open keyword like this. Let's go ahead and remove these. Actually, let me copy this. I'm going to show you guys a little example here, right? So this top one here is a broad match keyword. This is a phrase match keyword. And then this is an exact match keyword. So what this means is if you have a if you have this keyword right here, that is phrase match. If someone types in roof waterproofing near me, because this phrase was in what they searched, then your ad will still show up. This is exact match. So if someone has to basically just type waterproofing, for example, if someone typed in waterproofings with an S for some reason, your ad will still come up as a close variable, but it is very, very exact. And then broad match is typically what I stay away from. I like to test it, but only if I'm increasing spend and we're kind of, if we're seeing diminished returns, or if I'm really, really scaling an account and you want to, take more market share, etc. A lot of different strategies for broad match, but if you're going to be spending less than $5,000 a month in any large area, maybe like Phoenix, Scottsdale, or Southern California, it's anywhere with a real population, at least 1 million or so, there's going to be so many Google searches that you don't need to be going for broad, because if someone types in anything related to the word contractor, your ads can come up. If anyone types in anything related to roofing, your ads can come up. So if someone was just like, and one of the biggest things that I see, in these local home service industries, there's a lot of DIYers, a lot of Home Depot guys, right? So if someone looked up DIY roofing, water, proofing, chemicals, Home Depot, if someone Googled this, your ad will still show as long as there's spend left the rest of the day, because you had roofing in there. So you want to be really careful with this. Of course, you can still use broad match keywords and just have a ton of negative keywords, but depending on how you're spending and how much you're spending, how fast you're spending, etc. And if you're doing this yourself, you probably can't keep up with it. So I just wouldn't even mess with it. Because then if you do too many negative keywords and you're not doing it correctly and really watching it, and then you're also choosing, the match types for the negative keywords, you have a chance at having overlapping negatives that actually makes so, some of your ads aren't being shown because it's kind of canceling through, right? So anyways, I'm going to let you guys kind of do this how you want, but when I do keyword research, I always like to look for search volume. So again, if I'm in Phoenix, there are, tons of terms and keywords related to roofing. I'm not going to do the whole dive in now. You can use the Google keyword tool planner, or I like to use an SEO tool called Mangools. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're, of course, using keywords that actually have search volume. Of course, look at the CPCs if you want, but it's really also, once you actually get going, you're really going to be able to see. You can put a bid cap, etc. But what I would do for this, like let's say you're in Phoenix and you want to do full roof replacement, I would be looking at words like this. Roofing company near me, roofing company Phoenix, right? All these, of course, you're going to want to do, your own research on this. Like I said, you're going to want to choose those keywords that actually have search volume, but anything related to this, the big thing, and of course, I wouldn't go ahead and make these exact. What I would do is I would go ahead and make these ones exact right here, just because it's super specific. If someone's going to be typing this in, they're going to be typing in this. But what I would do is I would have stuff, I'd have a mixture. Typically, I'll have a mixture of phrase and exact. So maybe I would have those, then I would have roofing company, right? Because if someone's typing in roofing company, it's pretty clear they're not, looking for like some DIY thing on their own, etc. So just kind of play with this as you want. Again, do the research. I'm not going to go through all this now, but just have a mixture of those really relevant keywords and do your research based on search volume. So now going down, this is going to be you actually creating your own ad, right? So in order to have your ads be spending, you have to have at least one ad. So that's the reason why this goes into your ad group, which we just basically set up everything for the most part around that. Just getting in those keywords, which are going to trigger the ads that you have under it. So again, for your final URL, I would recommend, you always have a service landing page, kind of like I talked about. So this is that random company here that I found. This is a good page, right? This is a great page. They talk about free estimates, free inspections. They have everything here. So this is just the homepage of their website. Again, I would have a specific landing page for each service, right? Like for instance, if someone was to type in residential roofing, right? Kind of like we talked about here. Again, another one big thing I guess I didn't think about here was like you want to make sure that you're putting residential roofing company, etc. Because we're going to be breaking that down into multiple different ad groups to really hyper focus and niche down on each of those different type of individual services. So again, if I typed in residential roofing, see they have all these pages. I would want a page for pretty much every single ad group that I am running. For instance, this isn't too bad. But just a lot of text here. This isn't like the greatest looking landing page, but they're not driving traffic right to this. They're bringing them to the site and letting people choose for themselves. So this does actually have a pro and a con. The pro is that it's easier to manage because they're just bringing, they can spend all their time and focus and energy on one really good homepage that they're bringing all their traffic to, let people navigate. The negative is that if someone is looking something specific like this, you are likely going to have a lower ad rank and a lower keyword quality score, meaning that you're going to have to pay more to be bidding on these keywords because the congruency is low, right? So if someone types in, commercial EPDM roof installation and they get brought here, there's nothing on this page that mentions that at all unless you pull down this tab. So Google is going to say, okay, not very congruent, not very linear. People are kind of going there now. They have to search for it. If people are looking through all this and they don't see what they're looking for and they tab out, it's going to give you a low conversion rate. And Google reads that as, okay, this isn't very transparent, not straightforward. People are not, they're not ending up getting what they're looking for when they went on this page. So you're going to get kind of hit for that. So again, always recommend having those individual service landing pages because it's going to help you rank higher. You're going to be able to bid for cheaper and get those same clicks. And you're probably just overall likely going to have a better and easier time converting. So these guys are bringing people to the homepage. So we'll just do it like that. But again, you'd want that residential roofing page. So what I would do here is just kind of use this to target what we are advertising for in our ad group. This doesn't do much besides just show that URL. You can't even really see this on mobile, but Google has mentioned that they're actually going to be using this data to also help with their targeting, probably more for a Performance Max campaign, I would assume, but just to have it on here, just throw it on. Why not? Doesn't hurt. People can see it. It's just, showing more of what you're advertising for on the screen. Taking up more digital real estate or, putting more stuff in front of people's face is never a bad thing. So now these are your headlines, as you can see right here and right here. And I'm sure you've seen Google ads before, how they look. Typically 2 headlines, unless they're really short, you'll have 3. But what I like to do for, all my clients under an ad group, I'll have several different ads. And I know this part can actually take quite a bit of extra time. But if you don't want to be lazy and you want to have a crushing Google ad account, I recommend having, at least 2, 3, 4 ads under each ad group and really doing a mixture and then separating out ads that focus on their own angle, right? So I like an emotional angle for most times, right? Might not be the, the most relevant for roofing, but emotional, expertise, offer, and location. So those are the 4 big things I like to include in all of my ad copy. So an example of this would be 10,000 locals helped, right? An example like that, right? Or 50,000 roofs repaired. Obviously this isn't going to fit, but for something like that. That would be, actually showing that expertise. There's one I did for this asphalt paving company. I think it was a proudly serving, whatever your city is for 15 plus years, right? Obviously this is too long, but you would change it to what you are. Proudly serving Phoenix, right? Etc. Stuff like that. Those are all going to be expertise based. I'll talk about your reviews, stuff like that. Also, if you have an offer, if you guys are doing free estimates, make sure you have these in here. Again, I'm kind of just, blowing through this a little bit, but I would always make sure that you're capitalizing these letters. Everything else looks, you just want to make them all look clean. So make sure you're following, that same capitalizing convention. Just overall makes everything looks good. But fill out our form for a free estimate, call now for a free quote. Those all are good. Those are more offer based. And the ones that would be location based is really honing in on, where you're advertising, whether that's Phoenix or Scottsdale, but really going in on proudly serving, Phoenix, stuff like that, or serving the greater Phoenix area since 2010, stuff like that. All that stuff helps, or best roofing company near you, or best roofing company Phoenix. All those things are great. Be creative. Here's some that Google are, giving you options. This one right here, protect your investment, is more emotional, right? It's kind of tugging at that actual reason that people would be getting a roof, right? Because when someone's buying any kind of product or service, they're just using that as a vehicle to get them what they want. And if someone paid a lot of money for a roof and summer's coming up and we're getting tons of monsoons and it's going to rain like crazy and they're afraid of it, protect your investment. That's one that's going to kind of pull at those, financial, it's going to pull at someone's wallet, the financial strings, the heartstrings too. So that's an example, protect your investment, but just have always the mix of those 4. Again, it's going to be emotional, local, where you're actually advertising in, expertise, and then the offer. So those are all big ones. Call now, stuff like that. Call now for free estimate. All of those are good. I'm sure if you look around at competitors and do some research, maybe use ChatGPT. And then also you can always pull stuff from your website too. This is an easy one, right? Phoenix Premier Roofing Company. That one might be a tad long, but you can always play with these free inspections, get your free estimate today. All this, check out our reviews, view 5,000 plus reviews, protect your investment, right? So that's where Google pulled this from. Because when we put in our website at the very beginning, Google kind of did a whole sweep, all this stuff. There's all kinds in here. So again, kind of do that as you will. Here, descriptions are kind of, gonna kind of be the same, but these go up to 90 characters. They're gonna be right here, right? So this is an example of one that I pulled from the site. Again, kind of include everything in there, but this is your chance to, include more information. and all in one, right? With these headlines, we're putting, one major topic for each. And now you can kind of combine these, and then there's extra room here. We only use 61 out of 90 characters for this one that Google recommended. Obviously, I suggest you write your own, but this is where you can always add that call to action at the end. Call now for a free estimate, or call now to see how the best can help you, etc. Adding images, you've probably seen these before, but these are the images that are right here on the side of ads. So like, for example, this company has all kinds of photos, so you'd want to add photos like this, pictures of you, or probably, pictures of your team, pictures of your guys working, stuff like this. This kind of looks like AI and could be anything, but like, so could that, right? I would use pictures like this. I would mainly honestly use pictures like this, showing the guys working, including videos too, which I'll show you in a minute. This is a killer video. Add those images there. Add your business name here. It's going to show right here instead of the actual website. Looks a lot better if you actually, put the name of your business there. Put the logo, that's going to go there in the circle. Site links, these are what are shown under. So if I look this up, if I look up Google Ads site links, here's what they look like. I'm sure you've seen them before, but they are under websites like this, like in the actual Google search engine result page. So this is just a way, to take up more digital real estate. You really want to make sure that you're always taking up and showing as much as you can. Because if you're going to pay, for someone to click and kind of pay for the space, even though Google doesn't charge you based on impression, but it's based on click, I also want to make sure that you're everywhere, right? So this is a good way to go in here, right? Make the text itself. I've seen that Google's now been making these go left to right instead of top to bottom. I've noticed that, but you can still see both. But for site link text, I would include the URL to that page. I would choose different pages of the website. So for this, the most popular ones, probably free inspection, bring people there. Bring people to, if they have like a general commercial page, right here, bring them to here. Residential is good. And then honestly, I would go to the reviews, roofing reviews. So I'll do the inspection, reviews, commercial, residential, probably the biggest ones there. Because if someone's looking around, those two main services, and then kind of those reinforcements of, hey, just click right here to go on our page for the free inspection. And then also showing you reviews is a big thing too. Like, hey, CR 20,000 plus reviews, stuff like that is big. Call outs, you've also probably seen these before. These are just little tiny gimmies in my opinion. Yeah, just like little one-liners, little bite-sized things right here. These are all just little freebies, so throw a bunch in there. Like, as you can see for my Google Ads agency, I got stuff like this: stand out in Arizona, top Google Ads agency, partner with the MMA, book your free intro call, stuff like that, right? Like, you can add like waterproofing for summer, serving Phoenix, 24/7 support, free inspection. All those kind of little gimmies are always good. Down here for promotions, of course, you guys probably don't have any sales, so don't really worry about this. I wouldn't put your pricing there either. You do want to add your phone number here. That'll show your phone number here. So if someone's on mobile, they can just see your ad and click right away. Really, really fast way to get a conversion. Typically, that's more useful for people who need services now, like plumbing, pest control, stuff like that. But roofing can also help, especially if someone has already heard your name, or they look up roofing and they see a name that they recognize and they're ready to take action. That's a big one. Lead forms, I see people kind of experimenting with that. I wouldn't worry about that. I want people to go right to the website and then, kind of go through our setup we have in there on however we receive leads. So that is creating your first ad. Obviously, I see mine says poor. That's because I didn't really fill anything out, but I just want to demonstrate all that to you guys. We're going to go ahead and click next, and this is when it shows the budget. Of course, Google's like, hey, start spending $350 a day. That's like $12,000 a month. So of course, go to your custom budget, set it to whatever you're most comfortable with and what you planned on investing. But for Google Ads, I would highly recommend for roofing company, if you can spend 3 to 7K a month, that is going to seriously have an impact on your business. Of course, if you're a smaller company, you can only spend 500 or 1,000 or 1,500, but don't necessarily expect your entire business to change overnight spending something like that. But these bigger companies, for example, these guys, I literally found their Google ad. I'm sure they're spending at least 10 grand a month. I'm certain, right? Because how much a roof is to replace. Your take home. If you can get 1 or 2 roofs a month, spending 2 or 3 grand a month on ads, then that's still a great deal for cold traffic. People have never heard of you, etc. So obviously take this into consideration with what your budget is, but run that however you'd like. So go ahead, and once you get there, it's going to show you a review. You can go ahead and click publish, but for me, it's checking for errors because there's a lot we're missing. I'm going to go ahead and click discard, and I'm kind of going to show you guys. I only have one campaign here, and it's actually supposed to be retargeting to my YouTube audience. But unfortunately, I don't have enough YouTube viewers or subscribers, so it's not spending yet, but we are waiting. But when you're here, you're gonna see something right here that says Insights and Reports after you've clicked on your campaign itself, and you're gonna see one that says Search Terms. So it's gonna be right around here. So once you click on that, it's gonna show you, right, once your campaign starts spending, might take 24 to 48 hours after you published a campaign because of policy review, learning phase. Google's now seeing, okay, how can we fit this new person into the auction? But you're gonna see what's called search terms. And every time you have a click, Well, about 75% of the time, right, Google hides them from you. People don't accept cookies on their phone, or people have ad blocker, etc. So about 70% of the time, you can see exactly what someone searched to click on your ad and exactly what keyword that triggered. So again, a big one here is you're gonna wanna be making those negative keyword lists. So once you're in there, you can click on one like this and go to, make negative keyword. You can make a negative keyword list, or you can go down here and just do it right away. Mine doesn't have keywords because I don't have a search campaign clicked, but that's right here as well. Make those negative keywords, but remember how you're making them, because if you make a negative keyword that's broad and it's something around roofing, that could, intersect and overlap and make it so your ads aren't showing the way they should. So just be careful with that. Do a lot of just, exact or phrase match negative keywords. When I'm working with like a local service company, some of like the go-to broad negative keywords I like to just start out with, and just because I've learned and I've, managed accounts before, and it's almost the same thing happens every time. I like to remove DIY, cost, Home Depot, how to, what is, where is, etc. That just kind of removes a lot of those people who are like, looking to buy stuff at Home Depot or do it themselves, or like just doing research, right? So you want people who are more in the buying stage and kind of ready to buy, instead of those dads who are looking to fix part of the roof for herself. No shame in that, but this is not the guys that we want to spend our money on. So start with that, and then of course be looking at those search terms. Another one I would do here is I would go to audiences. I don't know if it's gonna let me see it because I'm not in a search campaign. Yes, it does. So obviously mine has nothing here, but you can look, once you have your search campaign clicked on, like if you had it in here, you can adjust your advertising too, based on age, gender, household income, and parental status. Wouldn't worry too much about this one, but these ones are the big ones. You probably shouldn't be showing your, commercial or residential roofing replacement services to people who are 18 to 24. Yes, of course, there are some younger guys that are doing really well, but just for the most part, probably not who you want to be spending your money on, especially if you see, a lot of, clicks coming from that age group. You can see this by changing these. So you can always have 2 bars per each section here. So you can have one, let's see, let's go to clicks or even cost. Like if you saw, hey, 18 to 24, there's a lot of spend. And if you go to the actual cost per conversion or the number of conversions, like, hey, 18 to 24 has costed us $1,000 in the last 2 months, and there's only been 1 conversion, and we're pretty sure that lead was trash. Then I would go in here and go to edit demographics. This isn't going to show well for me. I guess it will, right? Campaign, ad group, and then you just want to go ahead and remove that, right? So I already have that removed from my YouTube channel. For me, you can remove all this stuff too. If you're doing this, you're like, hey, a lot of our leads are junk. We're just kind of getting a lot of people who can't afford us, a lot of researchers, a lot of tire kickers. And if you think that this might help, go ahead and remove some of those. This just is going to remove people in this household income from seeing your ads. Of course, on all these, there's going to be unknown. Again, people who are using incognito browsers or ad blockers or whatever. It makes it really hard to track them. So you always want to keep unknown just in case. Only about 20 to 30% of traffic I see come in is actually unknown. So you can still get rid of about 70% of the people that you're trying to with this targeting. So between those two things, those are the big things I would look at. Another thing that I would really keep a look on, obviously this is a lot of stuff. So you can go ahead and here and go to add columns and go to modify columns. Looking at your clicks, impressions, click-through rate, average cost per click, etc. All those are big things to look at. Don't want to get into all those right now, but if you have a low click-through rate, that means that either your keywords suck because you're getting too many broad people and people aren't clicking on what you're giving them. You need to be more direct by making sure you have those ad groups split up by actual service themselves, or you just don't have enough compelling copy. You're not grabbing people's attention strong enough. Again, take a look at your keywords. If your conversion rate is low, again, look at your keywords, look at your searches, but then make changes to your landing page. So for these guys, that we showed you, if they were having an issue with, low conversion rates, I would try, okay, I'd be like, hey, this is what we need to make those landing pages for these individual services. Use those high quality videos, use those graphics, use information, use emblems, use trust symbols, use icons, all that stuff. Have a good form, make sure people know that free estimate is there, etc. You can always make adjustments to those. All that stuff helps. But the big one you're going to want to be looking at for roofing and a lot of these local home service companies is going to be the average cost per click, right? And I've helped some clients where I audited their account and there was times where they were spending close to $200 for a click. So obviously if that's going to convert every time, maybe that's a fantastic deal. But a lot of the time, you're never going to see something converting at a 100% rate unless there's only 1 or 2 clicks maybe, right? So you always want to make sure that you're adjusting that bid over here. That's going to be in the ad group setting. And just making sure that you're putting, an average cost per click depending on the ad group, because every service might have, a different median. But you can also set it as a whole right here, totally up to you. But you just want to monitor that. If you ever see that you're overpaying for random keywords, just put a cap. Of course, there is a strategy where you can slowly bring that down, but you always want to make sure that you're keeping a good balance between being there and competing in that auction for those high performing and high converting search terms or keywords, as well as, you know, just not shooting yourself in the foot and not showing up for anything because you're like, you know, too tight on a budget. So there's a balance there. It's a balance game. That's mainly all I can think of for this. Of course, there's a million other things. Click share, impression share. There's all kinds of ways to see what competitors are doing, you know, who's outbidding you, etc. But remember how earlier when I told you that you guys should be going for clicks, and then once you get those leads, you want to go to conversions, right? So you would go to this cogwheel right here, go to the actual bidding strategy itself here. My campaign looks a little bit different because I can only, oh, here we go. Yeah, because mine says conversions because it's a display campaign, but that's when you just go ahead and switch it right here, go to save, etc. You can do everything. Yeah, max conversion, right? So for you, you're just going to say clicks, go ahead and change that there, etc. So that is pretty much everything I have. Another thing too is you can always look at locations. So like if you're in an area like let's say you just chose like the whole valley of Arizona, right? You're gonna have Glendale, Gilbert, Phoenix, Mesa, Scottsdale, whatever. And if there are certain locations outperforming others, you can go ahead and go down here to locations, turn those off. If you're like, hey, Scottsdale, North Scottsdale for us crushes, right? Then you can even put a bid adjustment. So you're like, hey, we're telling Google that, hey, we're willing to pay more for these. Like put us higher up in the auction, give us more of a chance to compete for these. We're willing to pay a bit more. You can do that as well. Don't recommend moving that bid adjustment too much, but you can also pause. What I would do is I would actually just copy your exact original campaign and then turn off every location besides Scottsdale and make sure you turn it off in the original. So now you have a campaign that's specific for North Scottsdale, so then you can make a copy that's specific to North Scottsdale, right? So instead of being like, hey, proudly serving Phoenix, 10,000 reviews, whatever, we can just be like your local, you know, neighborhood North Scottsdale roofing company, 20,000 residents in North Scottsdale helped every year. Like be super, super specific now, because now you're gonna be advertising specifically to those guys, not just everyone in Phoenix. So again, being as intentional and direct and niche down to one particular, you know, avatar is always going to help you in my experience. So again, thank you all for watching this video. If you're like, Johnny, wow, this is just way too much information. You're clearly the expert. Well, one, I appreciate the compliment. And two, I have a link for you down in the description below where you can go to my website, see the 60+ brands I've worked with, see case studies, see video testimonies, etc. And fill out my lead form. I'll call you back right away. And I would love to set up a time where we could talk about me potentially running your ads for you. I also have a link down below if you are running your ads or had someone running your ads and you're like, hey, Johnny, we've kind of got it figured out, but things they're just not going the way we want. I'd love to audit your Google ad account for you for free, kind of lay out a roadmap for you guys and, you know, find some of this hidden potential and uncover that for you. So again, thank you guys for watching. And if you have any questions, let me know down below and I will see you guys in the next video.